Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. A very pro-XRP company is in serious trouble. It's the company on your screen right here, Linqto. Now, a lot of you, I'm sure, have heard of Linqto. If you've been around for at least a little while. Maybe if you're brand new to the community, you haven't heard of them. But they are very pro-XRP, and there are a lot of people within the XRP community who have used them, vouched for them, promoted them. And as it stands right now, this company, where you can buy pre-IPO stocks, again, including Ripple, they have halted transactions on their platform, and there is a lawsuit that seems to be moving forward. So I'll highlight this and share with you perspective from some people that were pretty well known within the XRP community who, including a couple who've actually promoted this thing in the past. And then I'll wrap the video up with a post from attorney John Deaton on this matter, sharing his thoughts on this. Now, I personally have never used Linqto. I'm just reporting on what's happening right now, so I'm actually not taking a stance on this because I don't have any sort of insider information. I'm just going to share with you what is publicly known, as well as thoughts from other people who have worked directly with Linqto. So I can't say if any of the claims against them are valid, but anytime a company ends up getting hit with the lawsuit, and then what happened here changed. By the way, I'll just tell you here at the outset, like, management changed, and then they halt transactions. When that type of stuff happens, it makes me wonder if maybe it's one of those things where, there's smoke because there's fire. Makes you wonder, right? But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a financial background of any kind. I am not offering financial advice, and you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say are right. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. Now, it makes sense that this company would be very friendly and very pro-XRP with XRP community members because, again, they sell Ripple stock. So that's just a smart business move to start making those types of connections. I don't blame them for that one bit. I've always just observed their posts, and they seem like friendly enough, and I'd seen nothing but praise up until a few months ago, frankly. And so again, I've never used them. I've never promoted them. I know just a little bit about them from what I've seen on the surface, and now more recently in some of the headlines that have developed here. But again, they've been fairly ingrained in the community for years. In fact, just to drive that point home, here's a headline from Crypto Briefing. This is from February 15th, 2022. Linqto sells out of Ripple shares as legal case develops. And they write here, Nick Barafato, director of digital asset sales on Linqto, tweeted on February 14th that his firm has sold out of Ripple shares. Later, he suggested that more shares had been added. And February 15th tweet, Barafato said that, quote, a very limited amount of Ripple shares have just hit the Linqto platform, end quote. And Nick Barafato, he's very well known within the XRP community. He's also known as Mr. B XRP, massive amount of followers. And he's been in the community, I think, longer than me, at least as long as me. I mean, I remember him there from like the beginning of me jumping into the XRP community in 2017. He's been around a long time. And sometime after that, he did end up joining Linqto. It's not that he was an employee at Linqto and then joined the XRP community. No, he was in the XRP community first. And he's not the only one from the community that's fairly well known that's been talking about them. There's actually quite a few, honestly, like a ton. And they were Linqto, of course. And again, whether they did something wrong or didn't do something wrong, I'm not here to judge that. I'm just reporting. This is everybody's talking about this in the community. Of course, I'm going to cover this, but it just is the case that Linqto was certainly benefiting from the credibility of many, if you want to call them influencers within the XRP community. That was just very clearly the strategy, in fact. But again, I don't begrudge them for that. I'm just reporting like the state of things, what happened. Like, as far as I'm concerned, that's a matter of fact statement here. Then you got this headline from September 9th, 2023. Here is how non-accredited investors can buy Ripple stock pre-IPO. And this article from the Crypto Basics, it's sharing a post from XRP community member Linda Jones, who is pretty darn well known. And they have a quote. It's on your screen right here. I can read it, I guess. But I went to X and it was actually gone. Here you can see, so it looks like she scrubbed her page. Maybe she's concerned about Linqto. So that's nothing against her, just to be clear. I'm just reporting this stuff here. And maybe that's wise. If she thinks that there is something wrong with Linqto and she went back and deleted posts, well, then I wouldn't blame her. That sounds like that would be the right thing to do. But here was the post It says hashtag ad, so it looks like she was one of the people that was paid to promote them. Non-accredited investors, big news. If you want to invest in Ripple stock, private equity, before the IPO, but you don't meet the requirements for an accredited investor, Linqto has a special offer for you. They put together a Reg D offering which will allow non-accredited ... And I can't see the rest because it's caught off there. It's not in this article, and again, the post is now gone. But it's a big deal. To be an accredited investor, you have to have a net worth, not including your primary residence, of at least $1 million. So that already knocks out almost every human. And if you don't have that, another way is to have had made, I'm pulling from memory here, but I think it's at least $250,000 for each of the last maybe 2 years, and then be on track to make that again for the current year. So it's a pretty high bar. Like, that's not most people. So to have that there, yeah, if they had some sort of legal exception there. But there are legal concerns, and it makes me wonder to what degree certain legal requirements were or were not followed. And so here's a headline from November 4th of last year. This brings us up to the part where we started to find out in the public that, yeah, something's wrong here. And I got to tell you, I was very surprised to see this, because even though I'd never had any interaction with Linqto or used their platform or anything of the sort, I just always had like a good vibe from them. I mean, I think probably most of us did in the community, right? Like, on the surface, everything looked fine. And then since there were so many, reputable people within the community speaking highly of them, I was like, oh, okay, yeah, I was just thinking to myself, like, oh, I guess they're probably a fine firm then. And so the headline here: former Linqto executive sues firm selling Ripple shares for fraud, market manipulation. Check this out, folks. These are some serious allegations. Zine Zoroti, former Linqto chief revenue officer, is suing the Delaware investment company and two of its executives for multiple claims, including fraud and market manipulation. Zoroti filed the lawsuit in California's Santa Clara County on October 7th, 2024. Although the lawsuit was filed a few weeks ago, the development only recently reached public knowledge. Notably, prominent XRP community figure Eddie, that's Crypto Eddie, of course, called the public's attention to the case yesterday via an X post. And so, again, the lawsuit filed by a former Linqto chief revenue officer, one of the guys from the C-suite, suing them. And so look at some of the bullet points here that Crypto Eddie highlighted right here. And by the way, I didn't realize this until literally today, but she happened to be one of the promoters of Linqto, and more on that. And like, there are a lot of opinions. Some people like have like the pitchforks out for anyone in our community that was promoting them, and not everybody feels that way. And I'll tell you what I feel a little bit later in the video here, but let me first give you the bullet points here. This is from Crypto Eddie. Again, this is on November 3rd is when she posted this. Lawsuit against Linqto. Bill Saris and Joe Indoso details emerging. Insider trading / front running. Use of unlicensed brokers. Linqto advertised 750,000 users when the real number was 10,000 and 30% were unaccredited. Okay, folks, I have no way to know if that's true. That's an accusation in this lawsuit. That is gigantic if that is true. And based on responses I'll show you from the new leadership at this company, it makes you wonder if there's actually something to that. And I'll show you why I'm sitting here wondering. But anyway, let me keep reading through this. Crypto Eddie then says, unconscionably high and undisclosed markups, sometimes exceeding 150% above what FINRA recommendations, with algorithms set to increase the price each time a unit was purchased. Employees expedite friends' sales to avoid the auto increase ahead of Linqto customers. Linqto did not disclose they made the market in securities they offered, creating FOMO marketing techniques, falsely claiming shares were about to sell. Their marketing techniques certainly crossed the line. They circumvented SEC Rule 506B. Investors were not buying shares, even though this was in their marketing. No compliance vetting in certain countries. An internal test was created. Only 50% passed, yet this test did not meet FINRA standards. Okay, there's a lot in there. Those are very serious allegations, and putting customers or rather putting friends of employees ahead of customers, that type of stuff. It's just big stuff, right? So then we get this. And so this news broke a couple days ago. So I'm doing everything very sequentially, you shall see here. So this is March 14th, 2025. Linqto announces new senior executive team. Linqto, a leading financial technology platform providing accredited investors access to late-stage privately held companies, today announced key senior executive leadership changes and that the company is conducting an internal investigation into the business operations and regulatory compliance practices under prior executive leadership. Now, let me scroll down a little bit. We'll get to some of the more key parts here. So the head guy now, I think it's this guy, Dan Siciliano. Yeah, he's the new CEO. Daniel Siciliano, former chief executive officer and former founder Nickel, has been appointed chief executive officer, replacing Bill Saras, and has been appointed to the board of directors. Okay, so Dan Siciliano, Linqto's newly appointed chief executive officer, stated, and this is the quote, "I am excited to be joining Linqto at this inflection moment in the company's history. Despite the urgent need to reset our approach to regulatory compliance, all of us on the new executive leadership team believe that Linqto has the promise to unlock real value for investors, for issuers, for the marketplace of privately held companies, for the tech community, and for the U.S. economy. We believe we are fully prepared to tackle the challenges ahead and are energized to accomplish our goals. I want to reaffirm our belief that this business, its vision, and its purpose are meaningful and differentiated in the marketplace," end quote. Okay, so already right there, very, very clearly, he's acknowledging, yeah, something wrong at our company, son. That's very obvious. And this is after the lawsuit. Smoke, fire, what you think, folks? Let's go a little bit further here. I actually don't need to read the whole thing. Let's actually just cut to the chase here. And I did mention this at the outset, but I think it's this. Yeah, this is it. Look at this. This is the real meat of it. For most people, anyway. Linqto continues to operate and host leading technology issuers on its platform. However, given the situation, the new senior executive leadership team has made the difficult decision to pause transactions on its platform until the compliance situation is clarified. Linqto plans to restore full functionality as soon as possible. Okay, so that's the type of stuff that, at least when you see it in the world of crypto, and again, I understand, they're selling pre-IPO stuff. In the world of crypto, when you see we're pausing transactions, what that almost 100% of the time means is we are an exchange that is not solvent. So, of course, a comment like that is going to induce tremendous fear. Understandably so. I'm not asserting that they're insolvent. I'm just stating that in the world of crypto, that's pretty much what it means. I can't think of an exception to like, well, we're going to pause the transactions right now, but I super duper promise everything's fine, guys. Like, has that ever happened and it's been fine? Is maybe there's something I'm not thinking of? And so here's a post from XRP community member James Rule XRP, and so it turns out he was promoting them as well. And I didn't really, maybe I saw stuff like this and I just don't recall, because like anything with Linqto, like I knew that I wasn't going to do anything with Linqto because I'm not interested in picking pre-IPO stocks. Like if I'm going to pick my own stuff, it's going to, for riskiness, like if I'm going to do something that's risky, it's going to be in the world of crypto. Other than that, I'm pretty lame when it comes to investing. I just do ETFs that track the S&P 500, the NASDAQ 100, the Russell 2000. I'm pretty lame when it comes to that. I'm not into picking stocks. If I'm going to do something where I'm researching and I'm paying attention, I want to be in something where you can get really high returns. And crypto's been the place to do that. So that's why. So I'm going to pick anything. It's going to be in the world of crypto. So I hadn't really, I'd seen stuff pop up on my feed and I was aware of some of it. Again, nothing but good impressions from what I'd seen. But I wasn't really aware, honestly, of who in our community was promoting them. I did know that Nick Barafato was working at Linqto. I couldn't have told you who was promoting anything, though, honestly. But anyway, so James Rule XRP was, and he's not happy. So here's a post from him, and this is on March 15th. He wrote, "So Linqto has not posted since January 8th. The public deserves a true explanation of where our investments are being held and if they are still available. Nick Barafato, Ray Fuentes, do you guys have a clue? I am no longer affiliated with this company and will no longer promote any future bullshit they offer." So, understandably, he's none too pleased. And I would imagine any customer that has funds on there and they're frozen now, yeah, you'd be pretty worried and stressed about that. Absolutely. So I can understand where that's coming from. And then there was this post. When that news broke the other day about Linqto announcing new senior executive team, Crypto Eddie shared that, and she wrote, "Finally, get the bad actors out of this space. Linqto has cleaned house. The entire C-suite, including founder, have been removed. New senior executive leadership launched several internalist investigations into the business operations and regulatory compliance issues, focusing primarily on matters subject to ongoing inquiries from regulators. Then she reposted her own post there and wrote, additionally, those that stayed quiet after learning about their bad practices and continued to make money with this company should be held responsible too. And so I think that's a fair enough statement. If you're in the know and then you're supporting, then you're a bad guy. Then you actually are, right? That's one thing. Now, if you're a promoter and the company is doing something, I don't think so. More on that topic in just a second here. Somebody named Cookie wrote to Crypto Eddie and said, what due diligence did you do initially when you promoted them? Were things deliberately hidden from you? And Crypto Eddie wrote, I can't go into detail because of the contract I signed. Sorry. One of the biggest lessons of my life, however. Okay, fair enough. If she signed an agreement, then she's got to stick to it. Of course, that's respectable. And it's very obvious that once there was a hint that something was wrong, of course, she was very obviously speaking up quite vocally, which of course is the right thing to do. If you believe that something is wrong, you speak up, even if you have promoted them. And that's what she did. So I think that's nothing but admirable. Now, not everybody agrees with that take here. Here's a post from Panos. He's a developer on the XRP Ledger. I'm a huge fan of this guy. I'll just tell you this, like, I rarely disagree with him on anything that I see him post, and it's mostly just stuff about the XRP Ledger and just facts about it. So of course, it's hard to find stuff to disagree with him on. On this, I do not feel the same as him. Here's what he wrote, and this is on March 16th. Seeing all the shady stuff going on with Linqto makes me sad and mad. So many people from the XRP community fell for it and followed the advice of the top usual XRP influencers and YouTubers. It proves once again my point that these people are only here to take advantage of the community and extract as much value as possible from the ecosystem. I will only say this: hold them accountable, expose them, and don't give them any more attention and your precious money. It's time we wake up and say enough. Okay, well, look, let's parse this out. Like I said a second ago, I could agree with, yes, going after any sort of influencer, even in our own community, of course, if they knew that what they were promoting was not right, if it was if it had a funk smell, if it was illegal, anything along those lines, of course. But if they don't know that, I don't think that makes any sense. And attorney John Deaton feels the same way I do. And so I'm going to share with you what he had to say about this. And like, as far as what he said, like I read it one time, and I'm going to share it again. I think I agree with 100% of this. If there's something where I need a second time to see it and jog my memory, I'll note that. But I think I agree with 100% of what John Deaton said here. But see, look, this is the type of crap where, like, I've never had a sponsor on my channel. I've been running this channel for over 6 years now. I launched it in the middle of December of 2018, a year after I jumped into crypto. I've never had a single sponsor. Not because I haven't had opportunities. Oh, there's no shortage of opportunities, let me tell you that. But I've never done anything. And of course, I always reserve the right to promote somebody or do like the referral link thing. I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with that stuff. If you're doing something, you're putting your time in, and you know, people appreciate what you're doing, so they're watching your content. It's perfectly respectable to monetize that. There's nothing wrong with that. Now, I've chosen not to have sponsors, but I'll tell you this: if I ever do, and I do reserve that right, I don't know if I'll ever do it. I just haven't cared, to be honest with you. It's like, if you're wondering why, like, I just don't care. I have nothing to sell you. I have no sponsors. I have no referral links. I never have. It's just like, if I ever do, though, I'll just tell you this: it's not going to be like a company in the world of crypto or a financial firm. That stuff scares the crap out of me. So, like, I would be terrified because I'm putting my name on the line too. Like, even if I firmly believe that they're on the up and up, there's always this in the back of my mind: what if? Like, I'm not running the company. What do I not know? What could that do? And so I've always been like extra hands off on that stuff. And again, not that I think anybody did something morally wrong by promoting a company like that's in the world of finance or crypto specifically. I'm just telling you what my personal thoughts on this are, because I've certainly had plenty of opportunities, including with exchanges and stuff. And I'm just like hands off. I'm just like, like, even the exchanges that I'm a really big fan of, like, for instance, Uphold, I've been using them since 2018. Um, I don't think I could ever possibly feel comfortable partnering with any exchange, even Uphold. Um, I That's just where I'm at here. Now, if it's something that's non-crypto and it's something like maybe a product I believe in, I was like, yeah, and I just want to share that, and then there's a chance to make some extra money. I'm like, yeah, I mean that's fine. Maybe I'll do that one day. But it's already been over 6 years and I haven't, and I don't really feel the need to at this point. But all that to say, I don't think there's anything wrong inherently with doing something like that. If you're putting in the work, you're putting in the effort, it's a labor of love, and then yeah, absolutely monetize it. I think that people that like you are going to absolutely understand and respect that and be happy for you that you're making something, you know. Um, but here's what Attorney John Deaton had to say about this. So he reposted what I just shared with you from Panos, and he wrote the following: "Before I say anything, everyone should know that I'm a fan of Panos and, in fact, cited his work in both the XRP holders and Spin the Bits amicus briefs in the Ripple case. I'm not challenging what he says because I have no specific knowledge of who promoted what and what bad, if anything, Linqto did or didn't do. I've never had a sponsor, and I've never accepted a sponsor for Crypto Law US or anything else I've done. As far as sponsorship goes, however, the way I see it, as long as people are open and transparent about being paid to promote a company or product, I don't think we should blame those folks unless they too were involved in some shady shit. If that's the case, they should be highlighted and ostracized from the community and be punished for any fraud, if any was committed. Currently, I'm unaware of any such claims. Good actors can accept sponsors and get paid for promoting products or services and not know what's happening behind corporate doors. Tom Brady, Kevin O'Leary, and many others promoted FTX, and I'm sure they had no idea Sam Bankman-Fried was a lying POS. Good people got duped by Bernie Madoff, just like good people got duped by SBF, the Bernie Madoff of crypto." Okay, so I'll pause to note that before I read this from John Deaton, I had actually first on my own, I happened to read Panos's post here that's on the screen here, and I was just sitting here. I actually thought of the same thing, and maybe the reason that John Deaton, his brain went there too, is because it's the most recent obvious example, like just in recent history of. I knew about the Tom Brady, like Tom Brady literally popped in my head because he was promoting FTX, and I remember the whole debacle. Some were like just berating him, and they wanted to attack him. People, I don't know, I can't remember if people actually did sue him or not. You would think yes, because it's a litigious world we're in, but I sure as hell wasn't blaming him. Because even if you do, like, quote unquote, due diligence, how far can you pry? If you're not an employee of the company, how far can you actually pry? Any number of companies can actually be bad and then prevent you from having any reasonable way of figuring that out. And that's what FTX did, in my mind. And so this situation, this is what I thought of. So that's why, like, for any XRP community member, any XRP influencers, quote unquote, that were promoting this, they probably did whatever due diligence they could, but that's only going to be so much, and then you move forward. So I'm not going to blame them for promoting a company that they didn't know was doing bad things, assuming those claims of doing bad things were true, right? I wouldn't blame them. So my brain went to the same place because that's the most obvious recent example of something like this. It's totally analogous, right? Anyway, John continues. As for Linqto, I want people to know that I'm a Linqto customer and an investor on the platform. I did due diligence, or what I thought was due diligence, and was assured the funds were separated and safe, and, most importantly, protected in case Linqto ever filed for bankruptcy or was ever acquired by another company. Moreover, I made modest investments for pre-IPO shares in a couple companies on Linqto, and when the companies went public, the shares were transferred into my Charles Schwab brokerage account. I sold those shares after the IPO and made profits. After having a successful experience with the Linqto platform, I made more significant investments in additional pre-IPO shares in several companies, including Kraken, Circle, Ripple, BitPay, and Uphold. I'm sharing this with everyone because I know people are feeling unnerved, possibly duped, and potentially beating themselves up because of it. I'm a lawyer who's been in business for 2 decades, and I believed, through my earlier experience with Linqto and research, it was a solid platform to make investments on. As of today, there is no evidence that people's investments are not going to be honored. I've had several people email or text me who, understandably, are worried about their funds. I have emailed the Linqto team and I hope to hear something soon. Of course, they could choose to ignore my request. It's the internet, so people are going to speculate, but it is way too early to make assumptions. I have my own suspicions of what is going on, but until I know more, I will keep it to myself. If I learn more, I will publicly share it. And so, look, I think that is the right approach. That's the right mindset. Again, anybody in the community, if they knew that something was amiss, something was illegal, something didn't smell right, something was funky, if they didn't continue to promote this thing, that is not ethical. That's not ethical behavior. And yeah, they should be shunned from the community. Like that sounds like unforgivable behavior. Like, how do you come back from that? I wouldn't trust somebody that did that. But if it's somebody who is operating in good faith and then this happened and there's no way they could have known it, yeah, well, then I have sympathy because they're getting duped too. You know, like for sure. Absolutely. And this could happen. And it could be any firm. It could be a non-crypto related firm and you start promoting them and then you find out that they're like a front for some, mafia or something. Like, you don't know. Like, crazy stuff happens is all I'm saying. You don't blame the person who's hired to promote, as long as they did some sort of some level of due diligence, and John Deaton here obviously did, enough to feel comfortable using the platform. If it's stuff along those lines, great. That's enough. You still can't know all of the inner workings, so stop blaming the people who are influencers in the XRP community that did this stuff. And I say that as somebody who isn't one of them, so it's not to protect myself. Like, I was never part of any of this. But I'm just saying that's what's right. To me, that's what makes logical sense here. Like, these are our people. Let's not crap all over them, all right? Unless you can point out and there's proof that they knew better, or after the stuff was coming out, they were complicit. If you got something like that, I'll listen to you for sure. Oh, absolutely. In fact, if you got some convincing evidence, I'll get behind you. And in fact, I'll propel that message on my channel if that's the case here. But you got to find that, and then we also need to know that there was actually something that was for sure going on here. Now, just speculation, it looks bad. It looks bad. So I'll keep you guys apprised of what's going on. This is what we have to this point, but it's not looking good. I'm hoping that it wasn't like a Ponzi scheme type of situation. And as John pointed out here, there's no evidence that it was anything like that. There's no evidence that linked to some sort of Ponzi scheme or anything like that. It may have just been as simple as, I say simple compared to that anyway, but as simple as, just not following specific regulations and then misleading the public. And while that's terrible, not as bad as misappropriating funds or being a Ponzi scheme. So if there's new leadership, who knows? But like, this is obviously all this stuff and all this in the headlines, these stories that are published. It's not going to do anything to help improve the brand image. Like this is going to be a tough path forward for these folks. So I'm hoping that they can move forward and everybody gets their funds if they want to get off the platform. I hope that they're able to do that. If they want to stay on because they're confident moving forward, then I hope they can do that too, to each their own. But it's just really wild to see something like this happening here, and for it to be, a company that's such like a known figure in the XRP community, which again is why when I first saw this news from Crypto Eddie on November 3rd, I responded there, November 3rd, 2024, and I simply wrote, "That is wild." I was just blown away because, like, to me, that was just out of left field. Like, it was just out of nowhere. I was like, whoa. But you guys, it's the internet. You can scream at me and tell me why I'm wrong, even though I'm not. I know I'm right. No, seriously, tell me what your opinion is. As a community, we should speak about this and just move forward here. But crossing fingers, hoping for the best. I am not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.